Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Mardek, and of course last time we made our way through much of the Miasmal Citadel, picked up some new and unusual items. The Cursed Blade, probably at the top of that list here. We also did take out another Trilobite Warrior, and we have done 5 out of 6 of those warriors. We did actually miss one of them in a previous location that we went to, so I think that I might want to double back and make a point of taking out the last one. So for that reason, why don't we make a point here with Mardek of warping out of here? Fortunately, remember, we do have the ability to teleport directly back into the Miasmal Citadel through the Sun Temple, so even though it would normally, if we were to manually walk there, take us a very long time to get there, we do have that very good shortcut. So, where exactly did we miss the Trilobite Warrior? The answer is actually in Lifewood. More specifically, the answer is if we go to the Earth Temple. So, we could theoretically swap around our party a little bit. I think let's hold out for now, keep with the people we have, and we will head back in here. And the place where we missed it was, I believe there is a room right here where at least at one point it was locked or we couldn't access it for some reason or another. So let's head back over there and hopefully we'll find that we can make it through at this point. Of course, we, at least in theory, would expect to run into some enemies in here. There we go. Combination of Earth Elementals and Witch Doctors, and they do have a fair bit of HP here, so even a Dolores Dirge normally might be able to take out low HP enemies, but I don't think any of those guys would fit the bill there. So, that's what we want to do. We are technically still trying to master Ballad of Balance, so I suppose it may not be a huge difference maker here, but bear in mind, being Earth Elemental, they are generally going to be very weak to air. So if we pick our target, notably, the Earth Elementals have 5 magic defense, whereas the Witch Doctor has 0. So if we use the Thunderbolt on the Witch Doctor, it should split it across everyone, or, I mean, we could just attack everyone, and remember, it's going to split that damage across everyone for all 3 of these hits, with a combination of Thunderbolt and Ballad of Balance. It's definitely enough take these guys out, so in some ways, Charlotte plus Eloise in here in the Earth Temple is quite effective. Pick up a little bit of Earth Essence as well, and perhaps good time to master Antibody as well. Let's take a look, for that reason, as to how things are looking on the passive side. Slinik, you still have a way to go because you're working on a couple of big things there. Eloise, you did just finish Antibody, which means we could throw on another 4 RP skill in its place, so let's just double check where exactly we're getting that from. It was the Snake Stone. Other than that, I'm assuming you've probably mastered, yeah. MP. Could throw on some kind of resistances, perhaps? Not sure that's a huge difference maker, but Clarity, you have mastered that. Ooh. Notably, not mastered anything on your Wave Harp, which might have been your first harp at that. Remember, we were saying now, Eloise has some really nice defensive reactions, but she has so many of them that it takes a really long time to master them all, so we might need to go back to some previous harps just to pick those up. Other things, though... Slinik, this is who we're seeing who's halfway toward mastering plus 20% experience. Have you mastered that, Eloise? You have not. And I think, generally speaking, yeah, you and Slinik are both, especially you, actually, Eloise, are on the lower side in terms of character level, so it's not a terrible idea. Let's throw this on here, I think. Let's do that. Make it a little bit easier for you to catch up with the others. And so I'm hoping we can make it through here. We can. And we'll find that there's precisely one thing in here, that being the last Trilobite. So normally the one that you would encounter in the Miasmal Citadel would typically be the last one that you find because, well, normally you would get to the Earth Temple first, but as I said before, we did miss this guy previously. So, let's see what we can do here. We could... and use a Ballad of Balance. I mean, we fought one of these guys not so long ago in the Miasmal Citadel and thought that it wasn't terribly difficult, so maybe we don't need to worry too much about doing things that make a lot of sense here and instead just focus on mastering Ballad of Balance as soon as possible. Does mean that everyone will get hit by benthic pressure there. And that one did hurt a fair bit. Ooh, Slinik notably is not anywhere near full life right now, so we will want to make a point of healing soon. As for who we want to do that with, Charlotte, I think, technically, we saw is a more powerful healer than Mardek. So we could go that route. Just want to see in terms of elements. Air is reasonably effective, so might not be a bad idea. to use the Thunderbolt with you nonetheless, Charlotte. Use Mardek to heal instead. Let's go that route. And Mardek, you heal, and remember, this will also get split across everyone, so we could make a point of healing everyone this way, and then everyone gets healed 4 times. Is that actually better in terms of total healing? It may or may not be. I think, generally speaking, Valid Balance is not going to be helping if you're looking to target one specific person to heal, because, again, you're splitting your heals as well. So, Earth Slash should be very effective here, because you are very weak to Earth. So that's not bad. Then we're back to Eloian, and I suppose we could manually use Valid Balance once more. That should work out, and it does mean that that physical attack gets split across everyone, and that's no big deal, really. Thunderbolt could get you pretty low here. That it does, which means that Mardek, you could probably take out this Trilobite Warrior here, especially if you were to use something like an Earth Slash. That you do, and you level up at that. Level 40 for Mardek. Get some Fig Juice off of you, and yeah, we should probably put that on Mardek so that he has a little more healing. Well done. You have won. You've defeated 6 of us so far. That's all of us. You should head to the arena. I will be going now. Good day. So, if you remember, when we went back to Cambria, we saw that that was originally the place where we heard that there were going to be a bunch of Trilobite warriors spread out across the world and we needed to track them down, and it wasn't until we did that that we were going to be allowed to enter said arena. So that does mean that we could head back to Cambria, and there's definitely stuff for us to do there. However, there's still something else that I want to make sure that we do first. So, at this point, we are very much in endgame territory, and I'm thinking we want to move out of the Earth Temple. This was the primary reason why we went here. We do technically still have the Earth Crystal unclaimed, but we'll pick that up any minute now, right? I'm sure. It can wait. It can wait. We took out the Earth Guardian. It's not like he's going to come back anytime soon, right? So, the other place is, if you remember this little area that's in between other areas, it's mostly just to travel from one spot to another. However, there was this cave in here that we may have poked our head into because, well, the thing is, it has this dark, gloomy, red kind of glow to it, and that one dramatically placed chest, yeah, you can probably guess what happens here with all the bones circled around it as well. Let's make a point of, say, healing up here, and this, I think, might be a time for us to switch party members out. So, oh, hold on. Before we do that, though, I do remember that we leveled up with Mardek, so let's make a point. Check in if he has gained any RP, and if so, whether we can put anything useful on with said RP, and I think the answer is, at least on the passive side, not new stuff per se, because, well, we're on the odd number there, and that's generally not going to do much on the passive side, but in terms of other things, magic defense, we can get rid of 10%, put on 20%, that's not bad. As for physical defenses, if we were to take off damage soak, that gives us 4. That's still not really enough to do anything interesting. So I think we're stuck there. And on the offensive reactions, what do we think? Here, with just 2 remaining, again, we would have to take something off to put something else on. Do we like anything else? I don't necessarily think we prefer any of these other things, so why don't we keep this? So Mardek, unfortunately, don't think there's much new for you there. But let's switch some party members around here. And let's see. I think we definitely are going to want Legion here. Which, if you remember some of the reasons why I've said in the past that we want to have Legion, then perhaps that will give you reason to suspect what we're about to run into, if you haven't already. And we did also find that Slinik, we leveled up. We mastered some abilities on previous axes, but we actually didn't put your best axe, the Draco Crescent, in your inventory. So even though we are in some ways ready to use it, we have not yet tried it out. So maybe we keep you around specifically for that purpose. And then, as for the last person here, Eloian, you are still relatively low level. You're 99% toward reaching level 26, and perhaps that's reason enough to keep you here. We could probably still make it work. There are lower level people still, of course, but let's give this a shot, and then gonna want to swap around some items here, like we were saying. I think it was, yes, Donovan was the one, as suspected, who swiped the Draco Crescent from you, Slinik. How dare he do such a thing? So we'll give the new Fire Stream ability, Quarry Dragon, and Soul Strike. So those are all new to us. And then, let's see, we are currently sitting on some dark resistance, some additional dark resistance, and the experience from the Kandarutho, in addition to the attributes, yes, but in terms of raw power, it's not terribly high. It's mostly just that it's the only thing that gives you this skill here. So we might want to throw something else on in its place there. Perhaps something that, well, maybe gives a little bit more resistances. Other than dark, you have a ton of dark resistance. That much is for sure, because you're absorbing 20 from this. You have the ability that allows you to resist another 50 on top of that. And then throw 50 on top of this, and you should be at or above 200% here, which is the cap. What is it? 120 from this. The ability is 170. And then, yeah, this is getting you to above 200. So this is probably better on someone else, at least at the moment. You are still trying to master 20% evasion, and that is why we put this on you. But short term, we probably make a point of putting this on someone else. So we were talking about having either Legion, yeah, who is currently rocking a bunch of fire pendants. Sure, let's throw one of these on you. And then we're going to want another spot there. And Legion, you might want some additional dark resistance, because you'll get 50 from this, yes, but we're on 50 more from this. Remember, Legion is limited in what gear they can equip, because, well, you can only put on robot armor, not human armor, and we don't have nearly as much robo armor, unfortunately. So I think we'll stick with this for you, Legion. Then that means, Linux, we're still looking for accessories to put on here, and as for what the answer to that is, we could, well, what do we want to do? Take a look at what our options are. We could say, for one, something like we were talking about before, the fairies are very effective. In particular, the yellow fairy is, in all honesty, one of the best miscellaneous items in the game. Getting auto haste is insanely good, because getting to go twice as often means that the character takes twice as many turns and is basically twice as powerful. So we could put that on Slinik. We could put that on someone like Mardek. Of course, having him go multiple times is a nice idea, because he has a nice combination of support and defensive skills, as well as offensive skills with all of his slashes. So, not a terrible idea to throw it on him. Let's go that route, perhaps. And then, sure, we'll throw on one of these Emerald Bangles on Slinik as well. Given some HP, Earth Resistance, not a terrible idea. Other than that, that does mean we need one more accessory here for Slinik. And still, the question is, what do we want? And we could put on any of these gemstones. I'm not necessarily sure there's one that we particularly want in that regard. As for things in other people's inventories, things that other people have equipped, not entirely sure there's an obvious answer. I mean, we could put on another one of those bangles, of course, if we really wanted to. Double up on them for a bunch of Earth resistance. Or, I believe Slinik has already mastered Resist Earth, in which case that would mean we could throw on an additional 50% resistance there, and then Slinik would have at least 100. Let's double check here. So yeah, that does mean Slinik is healing to both Earth and Dark, which is nice. Right now, Eloian is healing to Earth. Legion is blocking Dark entirely, and Mardek, notably, is quite weak to Dark. So I'm thinking we might want to make a point of, say, taking off this shield here, which is really good for magic defense. 10 magic defense is a ton. However, thinking that is good if you know that you're going to be taking primarily magic attacks, but if we were to, say, throw on something like a Shield of Darkness instead, and just throw on a little bit for dark resistance purposes, then that at least gets us at this point so that Mardek should be at, I think it will be 10% dark resistance rather than minus 20. So I think that'll be preferable. And then perhaps we swap around some skills with some of that stuff in mind. Like here we have additional 50% dark resistance. That's not bad. And then maybe we take off water, throw on dark for magic resistance here. Maybe even take off, well, we'll leave the other ones. As for these, could keep on the HP. Mardek is quite high on HP at the moment if we are throwing both of those on simultaneously. But I think, at least for the moment, let's get rid of Resist Ether. Could even throw on Resist Dark. And what else do we have? Loot Finder. We'd probably take that off. and could even take off a little bit of HP, throw on either resist fire or resist earth. Mardek, were you using the flame mail right now? Are you already... Yeah, you're over 100% resistance to fire. So I'm kind of liking where you stand at the moment. That's pretty well balanced in terms of resistances for you. So, let's see. Well, that's Mardek. As for others, Legion, it's been a long time since we last used you, and yes, you have a lot of RP to spare. So, for you, we could throw on HP and MP. Yeah, you actually have a lot of passives that we'd like to pick up, because this is kind of a strange mix at the moment. Some attributes, percentage, HP and MP, but only 10%, not 20%. Can't do much in the way of mastering resistances with you, because again, you can't equip human chest plates, which is where most of those are coming from. Then, I mean, we could keep it on, but at the same time, might actually prefer throwing on suppleness and a little bit of an attribute. Spirit? Sure. Other abilities here, dark resistance? Sure. Ooh, plenty we can throw on here. Both damage soak and evasion. Okay, those I think are coming from items that we may have just put on you, because we haven't used those skills at all, apparently. So that's a little bit better for Legion. Eloian, I think we were using you previously, so unlikely we want to switch too much around. Resist Earth, I think, is definitely fine here. 20% experience, maybe now may not be the time or place for that. Could perhaps go for HP instead. Then Slinik. Lastly, as for you, we were saying that your setup's looking pretty solid at the moment, but you have 5 RP to spare, because you were using experience earlier, and you are really close to being able to put on something like 20% HP, which you have not yet mastered, not even 10%. If we were to take off Dragon's Blood for 20% resistance to poison, numbness, sleep, and paralysis, we could make it happen. That is a pretty good value for 1 RP, but being able to equip this is also nice, so I think we might want to hold on, or, you know what, if we could find a way to, yeah, let's actually take off the strength, put on resist earth, and that means that Clinic, you're going to be, over-healing a lot from earth. Don't really need 190%, so tell you what, maybe we don't need 2 of these guys, and we go with something else instead on your second spot, where you get some other kind of resistance, other than earth, or not party members, we want items, and that probably would be preferable here. And you're doing fine on dark resistance because you're wearing the night jacket, so that's not really an issue. Other things, fire resistance from a fire pendant, maybe? Give that a shot. That means that you'll presumably be able to throw on the resist fire ability if you haven't already mastered it, which you have. So just to clarify here, that means that you're pretty high on the fire resistance as well at this point, so that's not bad either. Vulnerable to water, not sure that's going to be a concern here. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's a pretty good place for us to be. Let's just make a point of throwing on some items here for people. And Lids, why all the prep here? Well, you're about to find out. Because Mardek, at least in your case, you have still all the crafting items in your inventory, and that's not really something we're looking to have long-term. That was mostly just to see what we could make earlier when we were at the blacksmith. Mana barriers, that's not a bad idea, though. Let's throw those in. Get rid of the other stuff that doesn't have any practical use directly in battle. So we do that, and then, or at least free up a little bit of space. Give ourselves room for things like, I mean, it's, oh, hold on. Don't close it, Lids. The remedy, I think, is going to be something we're going to want to use, and Mardek has plenty of them, but Legion, you have a fair amount as well. Slinik, just 1. As for Eloian, you have 3. So let's give it to Slinik. Arguably, we want more of those, in fact. Other health potions or anything like that? Not very strong ones. Mostly just better potions which heal 200, so a little bit low on those, of course. Ever since we fought the Red Dragon, things, well, in terms of consumables, it went a little bit downhill from there. So if we take some of these ethers from other people for MP restoration, that would also be useful. Mardek, I thought you, yeah, you had a few. Legion has 3, that's fine. Slimnik has precisely none, that's not so fine. As for Elwyn, why don't we just make sure, even though you don't necessarily use Ethers yourself, you don't really use MP when you're using skills, let's at least put one on you in case we want to have you add MP for someone else. So, other than that, we do have Mana Berries as well. Don't think there's going to be too much else here, unless we have life-restoring potions lying around, which we would perhaps like to have. Let's throw some of those on people who are going to be directly in the party, so sorry, Zach. Oh, actually, we have Big Juice for Eloian, Slinik, Legion as well. Yeah, I mean, of course, the more the merrier, right? Okay, Meridor's hogging them, apparently. So 2 apiece, perhaps, for you guys, and then Mardek has a little bit, and Mardek, of course, has healing abilities as well, so that's not as much of a concern. Okay, I think that puts us in a reasonable place here. Let's save up. Why is that, you ask? Well, that is because we are about to head into a boss fight. And at that, a pretty difficult one. So, this is another optional boss that we technically had access to very early on. As soon as we went through here, this being the first zone in the southern continent that we have access to other than the Sun Temple that we start off Chapter 3 in. Even at this stage, won't be easy, but I think that we will find that we are prepared, especially after throwing on all that new gear and skills. So, as for the Bone Demon, what is your deal? You are, well, a demon. You have a lot of strength and attack, so notably physical attacks, those are going to hurt a lot. Other than that, a little bit of both defense and magic defense. You are weak to light, air, and fire, mostly, and, well, we're not really going to want to do much of anything in the way of earth or dark attacks, which perhaps makes sense against an earth elemental demon. So, what do we do here? We might want a Solid Sonata, because like we were saying, looks like the Bone Demon's going to hit us pretty hard. There is Raging Inferno, which is the big fire spell that nearly, in fact, does obliterate Eloian, and I totally missed that reaction there, but that right there is the ability that took us approximately 3 eternities, and yet we still did not learn from the Red Dragon, and the Bone Demon uses it on its second turn. So, remember when I was saying there are still a few other enemies that we could learn that skill from? This was one of them, and of course, well, this is a boss, so this is the only time we're ever going to encounter it, so that's why we wanted to make sure that Legion was in the party, and we would like to bring Eloian back, yes. What was Eloian's fire resistance, if anything? In fact, we can't even look at her when she's down, so, well, that's why I was trying to make a point of picking up fire resistance, but Eloian might have been the odd person out there. We may not have done as many things to optimize her for this fight, but okay, so the Bone Demon does also have haste, of course, because it went twice in a row there. So, as we just saw, the physical attacks, those are going to hurt. Legion does have the least HP at the moment, so I think we throw a shield on you, and we did put the haste on Mardek as well. So if we look at the order here, Mardek, of course, just went. Then it'll be Legion, Slinik, and then Mardek again. So we could perhaps bring Eloian back with some kind of Phoenix Down, if we even have one, which I'm not sure we do, again, after using a bazillion of them in the Red Dragon fight. So Mardek could do that on his last turn, perhaps. So we now have Blood Claw is the new ability that we just learned with Legion. It's a ripping slash that causes damage from bleeding even after the initial attack. So it causes bleeding. And the thing about that is, well, we'd like to use it if this opponent didn't have, say, 100% resistance to bleeding and also 200% resistance to dark damage. So, on a future occasion, yes, it is functionally, I think, very similar to another one of our attacks here that we've already picked up on Legion, or have we? Or maybe we haven't just yet. There is, in fact, another one that is far more common that normal enemies can use. I believe it's called Dark Claw that we will also be able to pick up, and so apparently we have not made a point yet of doing that, although I figured that we had, because it is, again, much easier to do, so we can do that at some point. But as for Legion, you, I think, are going to be one of our offensive characters here, and probably looking to do fire, air, or yeah, not sure you have much in the way of light damage, but you definitely do have air. That would probably be the way to go in that case, and that means Thunderstorm would probably be preferable. So let's go with that. 1,700 damage. Does have 33,000 starting life, so means we have a long ways to go still. Fire Stream is the new ability from Slinik it breathes fire like a dragon at all enemies, causing fire elemental magical damage. So, it's very similar to Fire Breath, except Fire Breath can only target one enemy, whereas Fire Stream targets everyone. So on this occasion, that's not going to be terribly relevant, of course, but we also have the new Crackle Crescent equipped, and that has 60 base attack, which notably is even higher than the Bone Demon's attack. So it is also Fire Elemental, which means that this attack here could be pretty effective. Okay, so Mardek, let's make a point of, say, doing something like, well, resurrecting Elwian. We do have 5 Phoenix Downs. Okay, so that's not bad. Now, of course, the Bone Demon could turn around and attack Elwian almost immediately, but it is her turn now, and she is 1% experience away from leveling up as well, which would theoretically give her a little bit more HP. So we could... Did we use Battle to Balance last time? No, we went Solid Sonata. I was going to say, could this perhaps be a way of helping her stay up? It might be, because it will split damage across everyone, and so each individual person will take slightly less damage. In fact, on this occasion, it healed everyone, because, in that occasion too, Bone Demon opted to use a dark attack against Slinnick, and Slinnick, of course, is wearing the Night Jacket, so that was the right person for it to target, because that healed everyone, and then used an Earth Elemental spell on somebody. Might have been Slinnick as well, because Slinnick also healed, and we also healed when it used that ability. Mardek is at 100%, so it wasn't you. Yeah, it was either Elwian or Slinnick, because we healed when you hit us with Earth damage, so not bad. Then back to Mardek here. Slinnick notably did get blinded. We would like to remove that at some point, because that means that Slinnick will be less accurate with physical attacks, and of course, Slinnick is going to be using, primarily, if not exclusively, physical attacks. And Mardek, you will of course take 2 turns because you have the haste, so you're going now and then you'll go after Slinnick again. So I think this time around maybe you remove the blindness with, I think remove taint will do it. Yep, let's do that, and then your second turn we can use, either put on some shields or deal some damage. And for Legion, keep on Thunderstorming. A little bit more damage this time, so that's good to see. And I think, Slinnick, you're just going to be using default attacks, to be honest with you. Which means, well, we could, perhaps, use a Perforate to set up a little bit. The Bone Demon does have 100% resistance to non-elemental attacks. We saw a lot of that with ghosts, but not often with demons or things of that nature. So, it would be purely set up. Wouldn't do anything in terms of direct damage here, so maybe we do just stick with the normal attacks here. I think we're going to be okay with critting for 3,000 damage, for sure. Also, I do believe that because Slinnick has the Drain HP ability with the offensive reaction, I think we are splitting that heal a little bit across the group, which is not going to be a ton of HP, but it's something. Okay, so now Mardek, I think on this occasion, let's throw a shield on Elwian, otherwise Elwian is at risk of going down almost every turn. And she does level up here, because remember, she gets 200 XP at the beginning of every turn when she's using one of her songs. And so, good, continue to use Battle to Balance. I think it has worked on a couple occasions here. Now that one, notably, would have only dealt damage to Legion, but it did split across the group for a little bit, and then followed up with the Bleed, which even the Bleed damage is going to get split across everyone. Bleed is notably very difficult to get rid of, because you can't get rid of it with Remove Taint. I don't believe there are any potions that specifically remove Bleed. We would have to use a remedy. And so that might be worthwhile here, because Mardek is going twice. He has haste, so he's going to go more often, which means everyone is going to get bled for a little bit of damage. It's split across everyone, so it's not a ton, but over the course of what could still be a long fight, might be worthwhile for us to remove it early. And then just keep pouring on the offense with Legion and Slinnick. Okay, seemingly the damage keeps on going up with Legion, so that's not bad. I mean, that's, I think, 1,000 more damage than the first time we used that ability, so large range in terms of damage, but it's working out there. Slinnick, let's take a close look as to whether the Drain HP is healing everyone. I mean, like I said, it's not going to be a ton, but yeah, everyone goes up by 40 HP there, so it's a very minor heal. Then, Mardek, this is your second turn here. You could throw on another physical shield, and again, what with the damage getting split across everyone, does mean that we probably do want to put a shield on just about everyone. There we go. Got one on Slinnick as well. And let's keep on actively using Battle to Balance. This is Death, which doesn't sound good. Fortunately, it missed on Mardek. But here it is on someone else this time, Legion, and yes, surprise, surprise, death means that Legion is, well, no longer with us. So, we will probably want to make a point of reviving Legion right now, because we do have a Phoenix down on Mardek, and of course Mardek is hasted, so we'll go again. Does, however, mean that we lost Legion's shield in the process, so we might need to use Mardek's next turn to reapply that. But Legion is, of course, back just in time to use another Thunderstorm for 2,500 damage. Is not bad. Remember that Legion does have pretty low MP. We're only going to have enough for 2 more Thunderstorms until we restore more MP. Slinic, on the other hand, is just using default attacks here, so that part is fine. Keep on doing that and keep Legion a little bit of HP across the board. Mardek, we could perhaps justify a heal because both Elwian and Legion could use one, but let's start with a shield. And we hope that, well, we could, if we really wanted to, say, do something like Bow to Life, and that is, like we were saying before, kind of like regen, in a way, and that would, I believe, also, well, it would have gotten split across everyone, but of course you can't do Bow to Balance and Bow to Life simultaneously. So let's keep on Solid Sonating, because I think that is the primary concern, is those physical attacks are gonna hurt. Earthquake, took one person out. I was gonna say, there are some people... Wait, did we... We definitely did not put on Bow to Balance, did we? We put on Solid Sonata. Okay. No, we were using Bow to Balance before. I was gonna say, Earthquake should have meant that we... Well, I'm not sure what would have happened, because it targets everyone. But Slinic would have healed from it. Elwian would have healed from it. Mardek would have took no damage from it. And then Legion, obviously, died. So, definitely hurt Legion. Might have been able to spare Legion if we had put on Bow to Balance rather than Solid Sonata. So the Bone Demon does have both powerful attacks and spells. The spells tend to be elements that, at least in most cases, we can resist here, the exception, of course, being, well, Legion. And that might mean that we want to use another Phoenix down here, because Legion will go next, but notably, we are starting to run a little bit low on those, at least for Mardek. I'm not sure how many Phoenix downs other people have here. Bone Demon is on roughly half HP. So if we were to throw on a Thunderstorm here, definitely would drop below that threshold now. Despite the fact that it's still shown up as green HP. Remember, started off with 33,000 HP, so less than half. So, let's just double check how many Phoenix downs and remedies and health potions other people have. So, Slinic has 1 Phoenix down, so we could perhaps have Slinic do it in the future, but not a lot to spare there. Oh, and notably, Mardek did get bled that last time, and so perhaps not a terrible thing that we don't have Bow to Balance on right now, because Mardek's probably more capable of tanking that than others. It is, I believe, still based on a percentage of his total HP, so not that he's going to be taking, in that case, that actually means he's going to be taking more damage from it, but he should be alright. He can tank other hits, so it's not going to be as much of a big deal. That's whittling away at his HP. So, this is your second turn here, Mardek, and notably, we do not have Bow to Balance on. So let's throw a shield on Legion, because otherwise normal attack might take out Legion in one hit. And let's put this back on. It does seem like it was helping us out here, because, well, if you miss, that means no damage. First, across the board, applies on, I think that is Legion and Mardek were the ones who actually got the status. So that is unfortunate for Mardek, because, of course, well, we definitely want to be using his abilities here. So I think we definitely want to use a remedy to get rid of that. Or even, do we have Holy Water? That's a little bit better because it is a specified potion just for curses and zombification. Save the remedies for other times, and, well, Legion, you were the other one who needed to get the curse removed, and perhaps might have made sense to remove Legion's curse first. Now Legion needs to spend a turn doing this. That means no offense out of you this time around. But Slinic, you've been chunking away at the Bone Demon's HP here, and okay, now Bow to Balance is making it so the bleed does hit everyone. Mardek, you can use skills now. Could perhaps be worth healing. Or, no, you're the only one who does not have a shield at the moment, Mardek. Saw that magic shields are perhaps even more significant, particularly on Legion, so you don't have quite as much in the way of resistances. We'll throw one on you, and then just keep on using Bow to Balance here. Okay, this is fire this time. And, oh, it made Mardek Berserk, which is concerning, because that means Mardek will not use any abilities here. He'll just use physical attacks, and he is currently equipping a weapon that is dealing earth damage. Earth damage that the Bone Demon heals to, and that Mardek just crit with. Mardek, I hit the reaction, which was, of course, not helping us. That meant it healed more. And also, Mardek, I believe, has the Drain HP reaction. When we heal on our attack and we have Drain HP, it means that we are dealing damage to ourselves, because it's kind of reversed. So, yeah, that means that Mardek is in really bad shape here. Mardek is complete dead weight at this point. Can't use any items either. I'm trying to think of if there's any way of making it so that we can remove that Berserk. If he goes down, yes, we might even have reason to deliberately take down Mardek. Crazy as that sounds, Mardek is only going to heal the Bone Demon at this point. So we perhaps should have made a point of taking off that sword, because, I mean, if we knew that he was going to get enraged like this, then there was a chance that something like this could happen. So, who is this? This is Legion right now. Could you, say, make a point of taking out Mardek? We don't want to do it now, because we do have Battle to Balance on, so if we attack our own party members, we are going to split damage across everyone, and that will, well, wipe out our entire party. But if we take off Battle to Balance and then target Mardek, then that does mean that we could, say, deliberately take him out. Then we can revive him. Once we do, he will not have the Berserk on anymore, and then things will be safer. So I think for the time being, we might still pour on the offense on the Bone Demon, try to make up for how we just healed him 3,000-ish HP. That did basically just cancel that out, so that's nice. Just want to double check, like, Remedy will not remove it, I don't think, because it's technically not a negative status effect. I don't think, and of course Mardek also has haste, so he's going to be taking twice as many turns, so that's also not great. Could take this opportunity to use an Ether on Legion, which I don't think is a bad idea, because Legion is basically out of MP. Oh, that also splits MP across everyone? I did not realize that. Okay, deliberately not hitting the reaction there. Elwian, now go to Solid Sonata. Do that instead. And, okay, I arguably didn't want to hit that reaction either. If you use Death on Mardek, that'd actually be kind of nice. You did, and you did all the dirty work for us. We didn't need to attack our own party member. Thank you very much. Okay, so now the question is, who do we use to bring back Mardek? Legion, you have 2 Phoenix Downs. I think that we saw Slinik only has 1, so why don't we have you use this? Now, notably, Mardek, you'll find, has haste still, but does not have Berserk, so we're fine in that regard. Bullet dodge, I mean, we saw that it did cause some issues, at least for a while there, healing the Bone Demon on a couple occasions. But, okay, so, back to usual now. That means that Slinik, you can go back to using your default attacks here. Your reaction, 1,400 damage, and about 10,000 HP remaining from Bone Demon. One could argue, at this stage, we could perhaps even start using Air Slash and basically try to go all-out offense with Mardek as well, rather than going defensively. Legion and Mardek are on pretty low HP here, though, so I think we probably do go for a group heal. Not going to be enough to fully heal anyone, or at least not Legion or Mardek, people who most needed it. We could go back to Battle to Balance now. That should be okay. Could go Battle of Life as well to get people close to full HP, but I think if we're splitting the damage, we should be okay here. Raging Inferno will heal for some people. Wouldn't have been Legion. And so, although we only saw one number there, I think that we did find that people on net still took damage, because it might be that it's basically adding all those numbers together and at once, but then it still did show up green as if it was healing. I don't know. But fortunately, that attack there did heal because it was dark against Slinik, and Slinik is using the Night Jacket, so has lots of dark resistance. Mardek, you are next. And at this stage, yes, Demon is at a little over 10,000 HP. We know that Slinik should be able to do about 1,500. Legion about 2,000. We don't really know how much you can do. So we're close, but I think we might need to wait one more turn before we're ready to take this guy out. So let's heal across the board with you. And that will, with Battle to Balance, heal everyone 4 times. But I think we do a Thunderstorm here. We use a default attack on Slinik, and then we should be able to take the Bone Demon out on our next round. Because it will drop pretty low here. And perhaps even reason for Mardek to use an air slash here. But I think instead, let's just throw on a quick mana barrier for Legion. You are low on MP. And once again, well, it splits the MP across everyone. And that is just enough for precisely one more Thunderstorm from Legion. So maybe that's all the sign we need. Here is the Inferno again. Let's take a look. Elvian has 990 HP. It does go down a bit, even though you see the green there. So, oh, hold on. Here's another one. And yes, even though the 110 is showing up green as if it's healing us, we did still take damage from that. I think, well, because we are simultaneously healing and taking damage from that attack, but with Ballad of Balance. On net, we did still take damage, and the number we're seeing there is just not terribly indicative of what's actually happening. So Mardek, now I think it is safe to say you should go air slash here. That is a ton of damage. And then we do have the MP for Thunderstorm. And a lot of damage from that. And Slinik, not necessarily sure you're going to be able to do it in one hit here. Might come down to Mardek. Or, if we wanted to get really clever, hold on just a second. You notably do have some weakness to Heather. Why do I bring that up? We should. We could. It might work. But I don't think she's going to have enough offense to break through. Well, it's only 10 defense. It's awfully tempting. It's awfully tempting to try to take it out with Elvian. Maybe. Maybe we give it a shot. Let's just heal with Mardek. Let's just heal with Mardek. Elvian, I'll be honest. I don't know if you can pull this off. But care to try to do the honors? Oh no! If you hit it! I thought it was Ether Elemental. It was Earth Elemental, so you healed it. Okay. Never mind then. I'm sorry, Elvian. You cannot take it out in that case. And we took off Ballad of Balance notably, which means that, well, everyone is on fairly low HP here. At least Elvian certainly is. Alright, enough of that fancy stuff. Let's just take this thing out. Down you go. Okay. Whew. Playing with fire a little bit. But here is the big thing. Remember that the Bone Demon was in a chest and therefore was guarding the item that was in the chest, that being the yin and yang. And you might be able to tell what this is based on the general shape of the item, but we'll take a closer look in just a second. Blood Opal as well. So that is another, again, optional and difficult boss. I'd argue maybe roughly on par with things like the Red Dragon that we were fighting before. But as for the item that we just picked up, let's take a look. So, Yin and Yang, it is a double sword, as you might have anticipated, which of course means that it is a weapon for Zac. It is a powerful double sword, which inflicts bonus damage against moral elemental opponents. 46 base damage. This is the strongest weapon in the game for Zac. So, that's why we wanted to make a point of fighting this guy at some point, of course, and we want to get this on for Zac so that we can, well, learn Immoral Injustice, which is an active skill for him, and also gives 50% evasion defensive reaction there. Previously, we've seen this on Elwian, on one of the items that only she can equip. This, of course, being the Zac-specific weapon, being a double sword, is also an item that only Zac can use, and therefore he'll be the only one who can learn that ability from this, but still, that is a very strong defensive reaction. Then, 7% crit chance is a little bit on the high end. The really high crit chance items we found in the past are 10%, so 7 is not bad at all. It's effective against both dark and light. That's what it meant by effective against moral elemental enemies. Also, +2 strength, vitality, and agility. So yes, like I said, strongest weapon in the game for Zac. So for that reason, we're going to want to make a point to, well, getting Zac in here to test this thing out soon. But with that, I think that is a good place for us to wrap up here. So I'll see you guys next time.